Greetings, friends, and welcome back to the Small Brain Pod, where today I have a treat for you. I'm going to give you my top 5 or 6 or something like that worst ways I've ever made money. The most embarrassing stories I've compiled of my entire embarrassing life. No, this is not going to be a BuzzFeed top 5 or whatever bullshit. It's like 5 or 6. I don't know. We'll see how many stories I feel like telling. I'm just going to talk, and when I'm finished talking, the episode will be over. All right. Let's get into it. So, first one, really embarrassing. I graduated college with no plan, almost nothing going on in my life except for a nasty drug habit and a little bit of a drinking problem, if I'm being honest. Had pretty much nothing going on. And I was like, you know what's a really good way to make money is to do some headshots. I got a call or an email. It was like, we're going to film like the next Avengers movie or something in Atlanta. So you need to come out and audition and you can make a lot of money being an extra in this movie. So I was like, that sounds pretty cool. I was an actor as a kid, a child actor. And this is about the time that I thought I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. So really cringy couple of years in my life. I was broke, had nothing going on, was making shit for money, and was doing random auditions in Atlanta for a movie that was not actually going to happen. It was a whole scam. Basically, they told us we needed to go out and be extras in this movie. Okay, fine. I was an extra in a movie in college. You know, I'm not, I've been around the block, you know what I'm saying? I'm in the entertainment industry, But we had to audition to be an extra, which doesn't make any sense. We go there. It's like 50 people in this room. They're like, look, the Doritos kid, remember back in the day, like that little black kid, the Doritos ads. Look, he fucking was in our agency and he made all this money. You can be just like the Doritos kid. 23-year-old guy with a terrible marijuana problem. You can be just like him if you get these professional headshots, because you're not going to get the roles that you deserve with all of your experience if you don't get our $150 headshots. And $150, let's be honest, that's a really good deal. So why would you not take us up on that? Why would you not take us up on that? Well, I'll tell you why, because it was a fucking scam. Like, as I was leaving, I met some other guy, and also in a bad spot in his life. Let's be honest, none of us were doing great. It was all like stay-at-home moms and like fucking future fentanyl addicts. I dodged a bullet with that one. It was not a nice crowd. And I was leaving and this guy was like, hey, I think this is bullshit. And he like Googled it. And sure enough, like all it took was just seeing the name of the fucking agency, in air quotes, that was orchestrating this whole scam. All it took was a quick Goog. It was not a problem. It was super easy to find this information. I was just too fucking, oh, please, I need the money so bad and I want to be famous and fucking tell jokes for a living. And so I go there and the lady's all like, oh, you'd be great. You have this look, blah, blah, blah. Like I dressed up. I wore this nice, like beachy looking fucking outfit. So embarrassing. And she's like, oh, you'd be great for all these roles. And yeah, we have to get these headshots. And I left thinking it was going to work out. And sure enough, it took 5 seconds of homeboy saying, I think this is fake. And then me Googling and seeing, oh, it's 100% fake. To find out it was indeed fake. But just to illustrate how desperate I was, this was about 2017. I had nothing going on in my life. Absolutely nothing. So this was a half-court shot. You know what I'm saying? Half-court shot. And it failed. I ended up not paying them, but I was this close. I was very close to doing it. I'm just a very trusting guy, I'm a little too naive for my own good. Number 2, just mention it, stand-up comedy. This one's really painful. Oh man, this is a bad one. Oh man. So I thought I wanted to be a stand-up. I was like, I make my friends laugh. I think I can do this for a living. So I toiled over one joke, which I will not talk about because it's very embarrassing and not funny. I wrote it. I rehearsed it every day in the car on my little voice notes app. thought I had perfected it, and I get on stage with my notes, mind you. I printed out the entire bit and I just read it off the piece of paper in like a gross dive bar in Swanee, Georgia. Not a nice place. There were sad people in there. Do you know what kind of people show up to stand-up comedy open mics? They are sad people. They have nothing. Imagine the crowd at the Headshots place: stay-at-home moms, illegal immigrants, fucking druggies, people that have just pawned off their mother's engagement ring. It's a level lower. It's worse. The people at the stand-up comedy open mic, there was like one or two decent guys when I was there who seemed like they were really hustling. They were taking notes. They were recording their sets. They were doing what I thought was right, but what the fuck do I know? Not a fucking stand-up. But they seemed very diligent. But everybody else was boozers, like deadbeat dads. Nothing going on in life. Nothing. This was their last resort before suicide. Well, what does that say about me? I mean, I was there. I was right there with them. Let's be honest. It was a sad time in my life. 2017, 2018. I was just teaching music on the side. Really nothing going on. Nothing. Whew, man, if this was in like 2022, I might have turned to the fentanyl. Let's be honest. Yikes, 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 yikes. Well, we made it out alive for now. But around that time, I was also Ubering in Metro Atlanta. And, what's Atlanta famous for? They're famous for their rap music. Okay? And so one day, wow, this great fucking intro. You probably have no idea where this is headed. I wouldn't. I was just Ubering in like the suburbs of Atlanta, like a decently nice place, not the hood. And I roll up to Walmart, and it's like, when you drive for Uber, it will have a pin at the entrance of whatever building you're supposed to go to. So I drive up to the entrance of the Walmart. I expect to be like, a single mom coming out that not able to afford a car. She gets in with the groceries. I drive her to a little place. No problem. But I pull up to the Walmart. I see a group of people in the parking lot, like waving me down, like the people on the housetops on the roofs in Katrina, like, hey, we're over here. So I'm like, okay, that must be my ride. I'm not the smartest cookie, but my inference skills would tell me that these people need a ride. So I drive over, and I'm like, hey, what's up? What's going on? They had a fucking car full of food, a Ford Explorer or a Lincoln Navigator, I can't remember, full of food. Do you know how much food it takes? Hold on. Do you know how much food it takes to fill a Lincoln Navigator? Think about how many passengers can fit in a Lincoln Navigator. It's like 6 or 7 human bodies. Okay? So now imagine a wall of Doritos as big as my human body. Okay? Now imagine this times 6. Imagine that. A car full of food. Full. It looked like they were fucking restocking the supplies for the Ukrainian army. It was full of food. It was like hundreds of pounds of food. Ground beef, fucking Slim Jims, Mountain Dews, Doritos. Just junk food mostly. I'll be honest with you. It was junk food. Plus the trunk. Guys, they called me to drive them. They called an Uber because they had so much food in their car, they couldn't fit any human bodies. Okay? That's how much food they bought. All right? Are you there with me mentally? Have you pictured what's going on in this situation? And I'm here. I fucking ripped the bong this morning. I'm feeling a little weird. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mentally prepared for this. I was just going to drive and make conversation with a little abuelita, a little grandma. You know what I'm saying? No problem. But now I have like 4 people that needed a ride. So what I surmised was they all went to Walmart to get groceries. They bought, the 4 of them went to Walmart together. And then they bought so much fucking groceries, probably like $2,000 worth of groceries. And they're like, we don't have room in our car. Let's call an Uber. All right. So listen, it gets more interesting. I get all these guys in the car, you know what I'm saying? And let's just call it for what it is. The young black guys, I think they had something to do with hip hop. They were rappers or something. I don't know, because they were playing some extremely loud hip hop music in my Uber. I gave them the aux, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be hip. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to get a nice tip. I'm a young guy. I need money for dime bags. You know what I mean? Let's be real. Let's call it for what it is. And I'm like, sure, dude, just fucking take the aux. I would love to listen to young bands at full volume. I would love nothing more than that for my speakers to be blown out and rattling. I would love that for a $3 tip. Let's go with it. You know what I mean? I'm a yes man. I'm a little scared of you. I'm not sure who you're connected with. You seem like you're fucking from the hood. So I'm just going to let you do this. You know what I mean? And wow, what a ride. So essentially, I don't have to tell you, but the way Uber works is you enter your fucking address and then you drive there. It navigates you to all the way. But what they did was they entered some fucking fake address. I don't know where we were headed, somewhere in like a kind of nicer area north of Atlanta. There's some money bags up there, a few wineries, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like driving out there, no problem, whatever. And then he's like, the GPS is like, oh, take a left here. And he's like, no, take a right. So I'm like, okay, whatever, sure, fine. And what we're doing is we're tailing the car with the food. Okay, so instead of me following the robot overlords that control the GPS for my sorry ass driving Uber half stoned at 11:30 in the morning, it's these guys. And they're like, follow the fucking car, follow the car. And he was driving fast, bro. He was driving fast. I had to tail him, dude. A Young Bands is blasting on my speaker at full volume. All right, it went up to 30 in the Nissan Altima. I'll have you know. Thank you very much. All right, I was doing okay for myself. All right. And oh my God, dude, I was fucking scared. Because I was like, okay, usually if it's the abuelitas, I'll just be like, oh no, sorry. Like, ha ha ha, Uber has to make me take the suggested route. You know what I mean? That's standard operating procedure in the biz. That's what us Uber drivers call it, you know? But these guys, I'm not going to lie, I was intimidated. They have a fucking Lincoln Navigator speeding down the suburbs of Atlanta with $2,000 worth of groceries. They're talking about some rappers I've never heard of. They're being a little aggressive with how loud they're playing the music. I'm nervous. You know what I mean? I'm outnumbered in my car. I was scared, man. Okay, I was scared, but I just went with it. So I was tailing this fucking Lincoln Navigator. All right, it's like a gated community. So the Lincoln Navigator pulls up, types in the number, and then like just gun it, just go behind him. And it's a fucking gated community. I'm like a local here, you know what I mean? Or I don't live in the neighborhood, but like I'm from that area. So I'm like, I'm not gonna, it's just not a good look, dude. So I fucking tailed it in the neighborhood. I followed into this like huge McMansion, probably like $3 million, big ass place, fucking pad, like guest house, separate building for the garage. Dude, we're talking extremely nice. I felt very uncomfortable. So, you know, the level of danger, Young Bands blast into my car. I'm outnumbered. I'm tailing this guy. He makes me fucking drive in through the security gate. You know what I'm saying? And then we pull up to this house and it's just like, it's just getting weirder and weirder and weirder. And so I pull up and I'm like, damn, okay. They're in a gated community. They just spent $2,000 on groceries. This house is enormous. They live near a winery. I'm like, okay, they must be like NFL or like rappers or something. And I was like, oh, they're probably gonna tip, right? They seem like they have fucking money, right? Wouldn't you think the same? Wouldn't you think the same? Well, that's where you're wrong, because they didn't fucking tip me. All right, I drove all the way. I did all this bullshit. I nearly broke the law. And by the way, I didn't mention, I walked into their house and I delivered their groceries with them. I like took the bags out, took them in the living room. The whole house smelled like weed. They had like the little Supreme like money counters. It's like a gun. You put like money in and it shoots it out. Incredible amounts of wealth, and they couldn't even tip me on like an $8 ride. I couldn't believe it, dude. I was like, okay, for all the bullshit I'm subjecting myself to, I think I'll at least get $10, $15 tip. You know what I'm saying? I broke a lot of rules for these people, and I felt like the least they could do was throw me a couple bones, but they didn't. I drove off. No cash tip, even though they had enough to like fucking make it rain in the living room. You know what I mean? They had enough to smoke kush in the middle of the day. Well, I guess I did too. Wow. I hope no one from Uber is listening to this. I feel like there's an impending lawsuit about to happen. But no, man, that was pretty degrading. I felt like, the headshots was one thing, but this almost felt like a public humiliation where it's like, hey, we're going to go use your car. We're going to make you do our bitch work. We're gonna... And it'd be one thing if I was like, if it was like someone going to work or someone like, I don't know, something important. Just think of something important you would maybe need to take an Uber for. This was not one of those things. It was like, we're so gluttonous. We bought like 20 families worth of groceries. And to be fair, I don't know who was living in the house. It seemed like a lot of people. I don't know what's going on. Could have been like an NFL player that was like putting on his whole family and giving them cash and making them go out and run the groceries. I don't really know, but I know they had money and I know they didn't give me any extra. Not $1, not even $1. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. Yeah, I don't miss those days, man. So that was like 2016, 2017. All that stuff was happening at the same time in my life, and I was very sad and desperate for money. Okay. The next thing we have is I taught English in Japan. I have a pleasant thing. So I turned my life around, guys. I was a pre-fentanyl addict. I was a failed stand-up comedian. I was a disgraced Uber driver. I was a humiliated wannabe Hollywood person, I guess, because I did the headshots thing. And then I got a suggestion from my mother, actually, to teach English in Japan. I was actually going to go teach in Prague in the Czech Republic. I had signed up for this academy or something that they would train you and they send you out and you live there with other teachers. And it almost seemed like a weird kind of travel adjacent thing, like almost like a hostel, but you're there teaching and getting paid and stuff. Anyways, I was going to do that. And then my mom was like, oh, look, there's this place. No. She didn't suggest Japan. She was just like, oh, use this company. They're called ITA. They're like really reputable, International TEFL Academy. If any of this sounds interesting to you, this is not a sale, by the way, but I will leave a link in the description if you're interested because it helped me out of a tough time, as you can tell, and it might help you. I don't know. So I got trained through them. It was like a pretty official process. I had to take classes. I had to do homework. I had to like make a presentation. And yeah, then I moved my happy ass out to Japan. I did like a little Skype interview and I had to wear a suit, even though I wasn't wearing, I was wearing pants, but they were in the interview. They're like, can you please stand up to make sure that you have pants, to make sure you have appropriate dress pants? And I was like, that's weird that you're being so thorough about the clothes, but okay. And I stood up and did a little spin and I felt like a little OnlyFans whore, but it is what it is. It is what it is, guys. Had to do what I had to do. So got the job in Japan, moved out there, spent about $1,000 like on furniture and stuff like that. And then I also brought an extra $1,000 to like, just for like setup money, like utilities and like first month's rent, deposit, all that bullshit. So, this was from my days of being a very successful stand-up comedian and Uber driver. That's how I saved the money. Also, I was living with my parents, but we won't talk about that. Yeah, throughout the whole thing, I was living with my parents. Very dark times. But I turned it around, guys. I taught English in Japan. I wore a suit every day. I was a big, important white man in Japan. Ooh. No, they make you wear a suit. It's weird. They like parade you around wearing a suit, doing like monkey slave labor, like basically reading off of a prompt, which, I mean, to be fair, at the time, hey, let's be honest, my prospects were not good. That's probably the best job I could have gotten. It was either I was a failure in the US or I was like a fake big shot in Japan where I pretended to be successful and wear a suit. Weird they made you wear a suit. Very strange, especially for making like $30,000 a year. I had to wear a suit. I had to like have multiple suits and ties and dress shoes. Crazy they would expect teachers to do that. But anyways, it's called Nova. Don't ever teach at Nova. The certification company is completely different, but Nova is a shit show. You're just a whipping boy, essentially. Although there's once I saw the light at the end of the tunnel, once I knew I was going to move back home after a year in Japan. Me and my buddy Kyle, actually, he's probably gonna hate that I'm talking about this, but there was one day where I think like the power went out in the building, and like we were giving online lessons, right? So you have to have power, you know what I'm saying? But for some reason, they made us stay in the building just because we were being paid to be there, even though there was absolutely nothing for us to do. So me and Kyle, we had like 10-minute little breaks between each lesson. So, you know, it's in the middle of Osaka. So it's like a decently sized city, actually, very big city. And there's convenience stores everywhere. So what we did was we like ended our lesson in air quotes like 5 minutes early, which was just like time out. They're just basically paying us to be in the building in case the power comes back on. So anyways, we like cut out 5 minutes early. So we have 15 minutes instead of 10. We run to a gas station. We get some chew highs, which is like these like liquor, like cocktail in a can. We just fucking chug them. We go back to the office just to cope with the shitty situation. Like I said, I mean, if you work, you know, having American bosses, having Japan or English bosses or like Australian bosses is one thing in Japan. But if you have Japanese bosses, if you have people overseeing you that are Japanese, it's going to be even worse. So like my situation, we had foreign bosses. But if you go to Japan and if you find yourself working at a English company with Japanese bosses, you're fucked. You are fucked. Do not do that. Okay. My heart hurts. I'm gripping my heart for you right now. Okay. Please don't do that to yourself. At least work for a foreigner. Okay. But honestly, like going to Japan was one of the best things I could have done. I completely turned my act around. I actually had prospects. I had a future. You know, I could have stayed in Japan. People stay there for years and years and years. You know, you start as an English teacher, then you end up doing whatever you want to do, whatever you didn't have the courage to do in your home country. You know, you have to fucking run away to Japan. So that's what I did. Honestly, I liked it a lot. Living in Japan, the teaching sucked massive donkey balls. It was the worst part of living in Japan, but everything else was fantastic. You know, the friends, you know, the people you meet are like such great camaraderie, and you know, just it's fucking Japan. I mean, need I say more? It's just every day's an adventure. Going to get groceries is an adventure. Going to pay your bills, even though it's annoying, is also an adventure. And Japan holds a very special place in my heart. I will be back one day. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so I returned from Japan. I taught English at a community college because what does a deadbeat English teacher do when they come back from an amazing experience? They come back to their home country and they live in squalor once again because that's what they're used to. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. But I taught at this community college, also a shit show, probably way worse than the Japanese company I worked for. I don't want to put them on blast because I feel like they're probably breaking some kind of labor laws. But what happened was a lot of the kids were like on scholarship, right? So like there was like a requirement for them passing. Like if they don't pass, they'll drop out, right? They fail out of college. We no longer get their money. So what I had to do is basically cook the books. I had to like say, oh yeah, fucking Rosalita did her homework, but she didn't. You know what I mean? She was in Mexico for a month, but I had to like sit here and give her fake grades for, yeah, I'm probably breaking some kind of laws. I think I'm going to stop talking about this. So that was a shit show. And what the straw that broke the camel's back was it was late 2019, guys. Late 2019. Remember those pre-COVID glory years? Well, what happened was my grandfather got pneumonia in like February 2020. We don't think it was COVID, but he was dying in the hospital. He was 88 years old. And he was dying in the hospital, and my bosses were like extremely irresponsible with COVID protocols. That's when everybody was freaking out, myself included, because my nephew was being born and my grandfather was dying. So I have like these very sensitive family members that I want to visit in these important times. And my bosses were like, oh, well, we're basically not going to do anything. So like, please don't visit them. So I was like, okay, well, that's not happening. I quit. So I just quit like right when COVID happened. Unemployed, wrote it out of my parents' house, you know what I'm saying? And yeah. What happened after that? Oh yeah, I was collecting like the fucking stimulus checks and stuff like that. And I went to Colombia. And I was like, okay, I'm done being a broke dirtbag traveling douchebag, basically. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a big, important job at a law firm, and that will give my life purpose by working a 9 to 5 job. Yay! No, wrong. It was fucking horrible. We'll get to that. So I'm in Colombia. I'm applying for these jobs. I get one at a law firm. Okay? And what they say I'm going to be doing is managing cases. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know. I don't have a law degree. I took the LSAT and had a panic attack, so I will not be a lawyer, but I wanted to be kind of involved in the process. You know what I'm saying? I was interested in the law. Okay? As a law-abiding citizen myself, I find it very stimulating reading and learning about laws. No. The fuck am I talking about? Anyways, apply to this law firm. I get the job. I'm in Colombia. All right. So I start this 9 to 5 job in Colombia. They don't know I'm in Colombia. I'm definitely breaking the rules by being in Colombia. They could fire me and maybe even sue me for doing this. And again, I might be talking myself into some trouble, but we'll see. Get this job at the law firm, and like I'm doing all these training calls. My boss is on my ass every day. She's like, "Oh, you need to like do better, do better, do better, do better." She's like, "Oh, you're not giving us enough work. You need to be more productive. Like you're not accomplishing enough tasks each day." Oh God, it's like fucking horrible. What a testament to the snowflakeness of this generation that people are traumatized from working decent office jobs. What does that say about me? I'm a fucking pussy. That's what it says. And I hate working in offices. I hate it more than anything. But I thought it was going to be this nice thing where I was going to get my life on track, right? Because I'm a failed fucking person. I did all these bullshit jobs, didn't make any money, miserable. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, the Japan thing was amazing. But no. Jesus, what was I even talking about? Fuck, I lost my train of thought. Oh my God. What am I saying? Where were we? Oh yeah, Colombia. So I'm like, okay, I think this is gonna like help me turn my act around. So the first day on the job, it was like, okay, you're going to be filling out these insurance forms and you're going to be calling these managers and you're going to be getting these forms and you're going to send them to the client and you're going to follow up on them. It was like a customer service data entry job, 9 to 5, where someone's prodding you all day. They're monitoring your screen time. They're monitoring exactly every single thing you're doing. If they had the technology at the time to monitor my eye movements on the screen, they would have fucking done it. Believe me, this was like office job meets slave labor. It was insane the way they were like overseeing every single second of the job. And I hated it. I was in Colombia, had a motorcycle, had a nice life, you know what I mean? I was trying to fucking chill. I was trying to do some work and feel important and like I was making a difference. And lo and behold, I fucking wasn't. I was entering it. I mean, I did the job of a computer. Like I said, if the technology was there at the time, if ChatGPT was around when I was doing this bullshit, I would have been out of a job. Honestly, each day I clocked into work and I was like, I don't need to do this. This is an unnecessary job to society functioning, and I'm wasting my time, and you're wasting your money paying me. I made $17 an hour, by the way. So each day after taxes, $120. You know what I mean? That ends up being, I think, less than $40,000 a year. So I'm working a full-time ass job, getting less than $40K. And it was just, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. If it's for you, that's fine. Okay? That's fine. That's fine. I'm not judging you. But every day that I showed up to work, I was like, I am wasting my fucking life at this job. I'm in a beautiful place. I have an amazing opportunity. And I'm sitting inside all day. Beep, boop, beep, boop. Data entry at a computer. And for what? Just to feel important? For doing data entry? I'm not important. That's nothing. You know what I mean? I was in Colombia. I had like stimulus checks in the bank. I was getting paid USD. I was like, I actually don't need the money right now. Like money is okay for like the first time ever. You know what I mean? So basically each day they were like, hey, you need to do more. And tomorrow we're going to check back in. We're going to have another call and we're going to really kind of train you up. And they continued to do that every day. Actually, one day we were at a finca or like a farm out in the jungle in Colombia, me and some friends. And we decided to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Or no, sorry, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we go up after work on Thursday, and then we stay for the long weekend. We go home on Sunday night. And so Friday, while I'm still new at this job, I get a surprise call from my boss in the morning, and it's a farm in the jungle, by the way. Like, there's a nice co-working space, but there's like birds chirping, and there's like roosters crowing, and like people speaking Spanish, and like motorcycles vrooming around and shit, ATVs, whatever. And I have to get on this training call, and they don't know I'm in Colombia. So I'm like, all right, fuck. So I have to like mute it every time I'm not talking. And the trainer is like an old curmudgeon woman who like is very hands-on. She's training me for a reason, right? They're like, oh, go train this new dumbass and like really ride him and make sure he's doing a good job. So she's fucking on me. She's like, make sure your camera's on. So I had to do the little nice little background where it like distorts everything around me. There's like fucking Latinos walking everywhere, talking loud, fucking smoking cigs, like drinking coffee. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'm just in a cafe down the street. You know what I mean? I had like Googled the names of cafes to tell her I was at like a local cafe. And every morning I would Google the weather where I'm at. Like, oh, how about that rain, Bernice? Ha ha ha. The rain yesterday was really bad. Oh wow, I love it being 47 degrees. 47 degrees is my favorite, which is the current temperature in my current location, which is also the same as yours. Isn't that right, Bernice? So I basically got away with it being remote. Okay, but every day I had so much fucking anxiety about if I was going to get caught or not. And this day was particularly bad. I'm at the finca, I'm doing the training call, and I swear, like, I'm like, how am I not fired yet? I'm doing bad. I'm in Colombia. Like, I'm not giving them nearly enough work. And one day it just all snowballed up, and my boss was like, we had these like weekly meetings or whatever, or no. I think what they were doing was they were doing like more hands-on shit. God, it's just so boring even talking about it. But they were doing like more meetings periodically to like, I guess, keep closer track of people. And this was also when I had just started. So the boss is like, okay, well, let's have a meeting on Monday. But that weekend, I had done ayahuasca for the second time. If you haven't checked out that video, go check it out. I'll leave it in the description. But I did ayahuasca a second time, had some crazy ass experiences, didn't feel like I really fit in the corporate structure anymore. And by the way, before this, I was even thinking about quitting. I was like, every day it was like, let's see how little work I can do and keep my job. That was the game I played every day, was how little can I give them and continue to get paid, right? So kept playing the game, drink ayahuasca. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call in sick on Monday. They can get fucked. And I had a meeting with my boss that Monday. So Tuesday rolls around, and I think we're supposed to meet at 10 a.m. and clock in 8:30. First thing, boom, you're getting a call from what's-her-face. Pick up the call, and she's like, hey, you know, we've continued to ask you to give more each day, and you have not given us more, so today is your last day. And that was it. It was not disrespectful. It wasn't dramatic. It was just like, hey, you suck at your job, and we're going to stop paying you. We would actually think it's a better investment on our part to pay someone for 2 weeks of training than for you, your sorry ass, to continue at this job. And let me tell you, based on what I told you at first, you might think I would take this as a strike to the old ego. You know what I mean? I would go back to the fentanyl, and I would be very sad and give up. But no, I was actually really fucking happy. I wanted them to fire me. It was like a game. I was like, let's keep getting paid for doing almost nothing. And they finally got wise to it, and boom, I was gone. No problem. I was actually very happy. I took my motorcycle out the next day, did a little nice trip, and that was that. So that was my experience at the bullshit ass law firm. So yeah. Then after that, what the fuck did I do for money? I think I taught at VIP Kid. I taught like online English lessons. What the fuck else did I do for money? That was pretty much it. Yeah, I just kept teaching English at the community college, and then I taught lessons. I taught music on the side. I was just kind of hustling. I was working 3 jobs, and it wasn't fun, and that wasn't great. And then I left for my big trip. I used my time at home to save money and left for my big trip. Went from Ireland to Japan on a motorcycle, worked little odd jobs here and there. You probably already know about this. But I did I worked at like a homestay in Wales. I worked at a hostel in Ireland. And then I worked at my buddy's ramen shop in Japan. All great experiences. I really enjoy working on the road, actually, even though I'm getting like fucking $9 an hour. It's just a unique way to travel. I think it like grounds you in the place you're in. It gives you friends. It gives you a schedule. You know, you go shopping for fucking groceries. It makes you feel like way more like a local than just like showing up for 8 days with your little fucking strict itinerary and like go, 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 go. It's like, no, I'm going to stay here for a month. I'm going to chill. I'm going to save some money. I'm going to sleep in. You know what I mean? So no complaints there. And another thing I did for money was I sucked a Vietnamese man's dick. Yeah, that's what I did, folks. Can you see why the stand-up comedy thing didn't work out? Yeah, I can. I can definitely see that. No. Anyways, bad joke. I'm sorry. But yeah, I nearly got human trafficked. He gave me, I mean, he was going to give me a big wad of cash, but I chose not to because I have integrity and I'm homophobic. No, I'm just kidding. So the next one, I fucking teach or I work at my friend's ramen shop in Japan. Essentially out of money. I stayed in Japan way longer than I could have afforded. I go home, move in to this apartment you see here in DC. That's a little expensive. Extremely worried about money. I was doing Uber Eats, hustling. By the way, shout out Uber Eats drivers. I don't know how the fuck they do it and make money because I was making less than minimum wage walking around DC, doing orders, not getting tips. People just don't tip on there while you're making below minimum wage. It's like there's not any awareness towards that. Whatever. I'm not going to be a fucking social justice activist, but it did feel pretty shitty. I was like, I feel like I'm getting shit on. I'm working very hard for like $31 each day. So that was pretty sad. Luckily, I have a very supportive girlfriend, and she helped me through that. So yeah, amazing. Okay. This last one's a doozy. This company, I will not name them because I have an outstanding lawsuit. No, I'm just kidding. But it is the most recent company I worked for. We were basically laying power wire in the desert and surveying the land underneath to see if there were valuable minerals underground to see if it was worth exploding Earth and taking the minerals out and raping Mother Nature. So, Jesus Christ. No, I was literally doing a survey job. So we'd go out in the desert. Just like I said, we'd lay power wire. We would connect shit. We would fucking connect it and clear. Boom. I'd wear like my high-vis vest and my hard hat. Although the company didn't give us a hard hat, even though we were in like mountain lion territory. I was literally scaling Mount Zion, Zion National Park-like structures. These big red cliffs, loose dirt, mountain lions, rattlesnakes. No fucking protective gear. Nothing. We had like a safety meeting each morning. That was nothing. It was basically just to save their asses from getting sued when inevitably one of us fell in a ditch and died, because also there was no walkie-talkie signal. We didn't have a way to communicate with our bosses. So we're in the middle of the desert alone, rattlesnakes, mountain lions, 105-degree heat, no way to communicate with anyone. It was scary. You know what I mean? It was a scary job. And each day I was like, do I need the money this bad? There was a personal struggle each day. Like the law firm was one thing, you know what I mean? Teaching English during COVID in the shitty community college that didn't care about keeping us safe was another thing. This was on a completely different level because I feel like the COVID thing, it's a little bit of an abstraction, right? Like it is a real danger, or at least I thought it was at the time. And but it's an idea, right? It's like pathogens and blah blah blah, and you have to imagine it. But no, fucking being in the desert with rattling rattlesnakes, like it happened a handful of times to me, and collectively in my little troop of people, probably 15 times in the 2 weeks we were out in the desert. We had rattlesnake encounters. We saw them. We heard them. A buddy of mine fucking stepped on one. Okay, they're out there. It's a real danger. And no one was trained in first aid. We were in the middle of the national forest, like hours away from any hospital. What the fuck are you supposed to do if you get bit by a rattlesnake? I don't know. I live in Washington, D.C. I'm not a country boy. I have some fucking shitty REI boots on and no protective gear, and I don't know what I'm doing. Okay? Can you feel my anxiety? This is only a fraction of what I felt at the time. It was really bad. I was going home each night, because it's a remote job. Like they move you out to the desert for however long the job takes. So they're like, oh, it's going to take 10 days. Ended up taking like 3 weeks. And I'm living in a shitty motel with bed bugs, right? I'm drinking Miller High Life each night, ripping cigs. it wasn't a good time. It was worse than a bad time. It was like a dangerous, weird. I mean, I went back to my fucking fentanyl days, guys. Like this was grim. This was grim, man. I would show up to work each day like, how bad do I need this money? Because I mean, to be fair, it was nice money. You know what I mean? It was like I think we had per diem, so it was like $180 plus $50 per diem, so it's $230 a day. Hey, that's good money. You know what I mean? I'm not, no disrespect, like that is good money, and I chose to work there, so I needed it pretty bad. But it's just like, god damn, like how bad do you need the $230, bro? Honestly, how bad do you need it? Like, do you need it? No health insurance. You know what I mean? If I get bit by a rattlesnake, I'm fucked. How are they going to airlift me out of there? I can't afford it. I have no money. Like, no money. This was after Ireland to Japan, so I had like negative money. I had like credit card debt. You know what I mean? This was a scary time, financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You know, it was, whew, fucking A, man. So, is that it? I think that's all the, oh yeah, and then I was a waiter in DC, making decent money being a waiter. But it was a hustle, you know what I mean? Shout out to the waiters out there. You guys get shit on by everybody. That job made me resent every single person in Washington, D.C., especially because we worked right near Embassy Row where all the European embassies are. And for some reason, they don't think it's necessary to tip because they don't agree with it. Oh, you Americans, you're so silly with your tipping. Oh, in France, in Belgium, in Morocco, we do not tip. Oh, it's so juvenile and it's silly how you Americans, you tip. It's like, they're so fucking condescending, those Europeans. Australians too. It's just like, they're like, oi, mate, I gave you a fiver on a $500 bill. How's that, mate? 1% tip. In Australia, we don't tip nothing, mate. Sorry if you're still listening after this, after these horrible impressions. But no, it really made me resent people coming here and like shoving it in our face that we tip. It's like, yeah, bro, like what? I'm a waiter, dude. You think I have any power in this equation? Do you think I'm making the rules? Because if it were me, I would make I would make a mandatory tipping. You know what I mean? That's what some restaurants do. But we were a classy establishment, guys. We were classy. We didn't do that to people. Dude, I remember one time I had like a party of like 12 Korean dudes. And bro, when someone ain't gonna tip you, you can smell it a mile away. Whether it's like a semi-homeless person who orders a lot of food and doesn't make eye contact and then complains a lot, and then you go to your manager to try to get them free food, and then you go back to tell them, hey, good for you, I got you free calamari. Sorry that the ratio of calamari to olives wasn't so good. And I go back to tell them the good news, and they're fucking gone. They left, dude. They walked out on like a $120 bill. So you can smell it from a mile away. And these Koreans, sorry to say, not being fucking racist, I just got a feeling. They were using Google Translate on everything. They were using, like, their money was crispy $100 bills. I was like, okay, they just got off the plane. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, let's just call a spade a spade. Like, you can smell it coming from a mile away. I couldn't smell them. That's not what I was saying. I'm saying I could smell the no tip coming. That sounds really bad. Please don't clip that. All right. But you can just feel it, bro. You can feel it, right? No English, crispy hundreds, ordering bottles, ordering appetizers, ordering refills, ordering more bottles. By the way, it was like a patio situation in the summertime. So they like were going outside the patio, ripping cigs. They're like, oh, can we smoke inside? I'm like, no, sir, please don't smoke inside. This is America. You know what I mean? It's like those, anytime you have to explain to somebody, oh, excuse me. Anytime you have to explain to somebody like those cultural norms, like we don't smoke inside in America, right? They're not going to know that we tip. You know what I mean? Like the level of research they did before coming to Washington, D.C. was almost nothing. Almost nothing. That's fine. That's the way I do it. But let's be real. I can feel the no tip coming. And what am I going to do? Oh, please tip me. Do a little song and dance monkey dance for your tips. It's like, they told us to not mention it at the restaurant, so I tried to be, polite and whatever. Anyways, so it's like 12 dudes. I come back to the patio. Only one of them's left. They had all left, and he's there to pay me. And I think I'd give him the bill. It was like around $400. And so I give him the bill. They all leave. I come back. There's one dude who's there with cash money to give me. And I think he gave me like 400 on the nose, dude, on the nose, on maybe like a $3.95 bill or something like that. And he's like, you keep the change. And it was a number of bills to where I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm not going to sit here and count this right now in front of you. It just, I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't the best waiter, but I was like, I'm not going to sit here and count this. And I was like, thank you very much. He said, keep the change. I assume that means he tipped me. You know what I mean? That's usually what people say. So I count it. And dude, on a bill of $400, he tipped me, I think $4 or $5. $4 or $5. A 1% tip. Yeah. I can do the math. My brain's not that small. A 1% tip. It was really degrading, and stuff like that would happen all the time, dude. Like these diplomats would come in from France or Switzerland or whatever. And keep in mind, they're tax exempt. They don't pay tax on the stuff they buy here because they're diplomats or whatever the fuck. I don't know how it works. But so they have a reduced rate to begin with, and they all get fucking espressos, which are really hard to make. God, I'm just bitching about being a waiter now. But anyways, just really high maintenance customers, almost no tips. So there we go. There's my rant, guys, on all the shitty jobs I've done. It's 5 or 6. I don't know. I'm not BuzzFeed in this bitch. But that's all we're going to do today. We're going to wrap it up there. Hopefully you liked hearing me rant about all of my sad and pathetic jobs that I've done. I feel like it goes without being said. I love being a travel YouTuber. This is my dream compared to all the bullshit jobs I've done. You know, driving around gangstas to their fucking McMansion and not getting tipped. Or, you know, falling flat on my face with stand-up comedy. God, I can't even believe I've mentioned that on a recording. That's very embarrassing. But yeah, very blessed to be in the position I'm in. So thank you guys very much for being here. Please share with your friends. We're trying to grow the podcast. And that's it. That's a wrap. See you. Love you. Bye-bye.